All right. So the other thing is the same water you put in the lawn, you're drinking that, unless you would just drink bottled water. It goes through your refrigerator. So how many of us know what the water utility gives us? We really don't. So there is a strong opportunity to measure what you are drinking. You can also do other things like measure the furnace efficiency of the heat furnace, your AC efficiency, how many mites on in your ductwork. Bottom line is the vision is a platform and hardware and software that's going to drive this. And how do we build it? The nuts and bolts. So the 410C is the brain. The brain came in this box. And then you will see that the brain is actually a very small device. The box was bigger, but it's a Qualcomm 410C board. The platform bus that supports it is the I2C bus. The programming was done in C. We installed Linux on the Qualcomm board with some help from Qualcomm folks, Node.js to communicate to the Bluemix card. So the other parts that went into it, the sprinkler control valve, $13 part from Home Depot, soil moisture sensor for $3, light sense and other things that came from Qualcomm. And there's also a device to control the rain controller called a Triac. Okay, so how does it go from this particular platform to the cloud and to the back end? So AT&T Smart City APIs, and we had a discussion of what tags should be used to name them and how that fits into what we are doing. The AT&T Flow Designer actually can see the M2X and as well as the Flow Designer in there and the Bluemix. So how hot is my brain? I need to know, right? So I need to know whether my brain is getting fried, so you need to know your board is getting fried. So the temperature is being transmitted to Bluemix, and as I plugged it off, you can see it's swinging back to 50 degrees and back down again. So a variety of different platforms. And switching back to the board again.
10 seconds.
So what is the use case? The use case is really integration of variety of sensors in a smart way with a smart platform on the device, analytics on the device, and sending to the cloud.
That is time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, so their idea, Team Homebrain, to basically help you measure what's going on in your life, right? From everything.
Well, in your house.
Well, the water you drink. Well, my life is at my house. Is there any other way to live?
Well, I mean, they were measuring, well, we were starting to say water quality, the amount of ductwork dust might count. That one caught me as being particularly sort of awfully intriguing.
Right.
You know, what sort of foul things living in your house or what potential toxins are available in your house. And then there was just a very long conversation about all of the individual tools and application settings. And then finally at the very end, about 10 seconds before they got cut off, a discussion that, oh, what's the use case scenario for this? We're connecting all of the sensors in your house in an intelligent way.
I do love that idea of being able to understand what's going on in your environment, and being able to control it, being able to do something about the knowledge that you get from all of these sensors. You know, you understand that your water isn't as good as you thought it was, so you do something about it. You understand that you have dust mites, do something about it.
I mean, it's when we replaced, we got a new furnace a couple years ago, and one of the interesting things we found out was that the front of the house and the back of the house were heating and cooling at two very different temperatures.
Oh, wow.
And figuring out how to track that information, like one of the first smart connected devices I bought was supposed to track information and log that information. Well, it neither correctly tracked the information and the logging features weren't actually implemented. So the idea of a central source that will aggregate that information is really cool. Team Memory Lane coming up right now.
Unfortunately, everyone in this room either knows someone or has been personally affected by the disease Alzheimer's, including 3 members of this team. So we have chosen to use the technologies available to us at this hackathon to develop Memory Lane, an application that can improve the independence and quality of life for Alzheimer's patients and their caregivers. We want to show you 3 examples addressing routine, safety, and health of our patient, Mrs. Moore. Now, Mrs. Moore currently resides in an assisted living center and has an always-on tablet with the Memory Lane app. So we can look at the tablet. Who's doing the switching? All right, cool. So our first use case, or first scenario, is going to be around the routine of taking medications. Remembering to take medications is one of the main concerns for Mrs. Moore and for her caregivers. But through Memory Lane, we can give her audio and visual cues that can alert Mrs. Moore when and what medications to take. Tablet, please. Are we going on? Okay. A tablet, please. Okay. So additionally, the Memory Lane app will be able to trigger an accelerometer on an IoT-enabled medication dispenser. So when the dispenser is tipped over a certain threshold, alerts will be sent via the cloud to the caretaker that the medications were actually taken. A text message.
Mrs. Moore just took her medication.
The app will also update the status of the take medication task for Mrs. Moore so she understands that she has taken her medication as well. So let's jump on to safety. Mrs. Moore, unfortunately, wakes frequently at night and is sometimes up for extended periods. For the Memory Lane app, what we did was to simulate a sleep sensor in Mrs. Moore's bed. If she should wake or get up at any time during the night, Memory Lane, via the sleep sensor, will send a signal to turn on lights to help her avoid falls. Ta-da. Should Mrs. Moore stay up for an extended period of time, Memory Lane will ask if she needs help and will present her with one-touch calling to her caregivers.
Do you need help?
Hello? Yes? 30 seconds.
And very lastly, let's talk about health. It's important that Mrs. Moore gets regular exercise. Memory Lane can remind Mrs. Moore to take her daily walk. Anytime the front door is open, we can send SMSs to the caregiver. And should Mrs. Moore wander outside of a safe geozone, the Memory Lane app will send an SMS alert to call or SMS any designated caregivers that need to know that.
All right, thank you very much, guys. That is time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was very, very nice. I have my own family history of Alzheimer's and things like dementia, which can really affect your life, and it's hard to cope with. So it's nice to see someone trying to develop an application for this. One thing that she mentioned was turning on the lights when you wake up at night so you don't fall, which was a thing that one of my family members dealt with. But the issue was, if you turn on your lights all of a sudden, you're going to get blinded by lights. So one thing I was thinking of, and I would love to talk to her afterwards, is include this with the Samsung Smart Themes bulb so that you can make the lights gradually and gracefully light up the room so that you not only don't fall, but you're not blinded by the light at the same time. I think it was a really, really nice application. They did a great job.
I agree.
One of the two best, I think probably the most functional and accomplished presentation after the Teams Baby Breath, which was the first presentation that started almost an hour and a half ago.
Yeah, it was.
And they were doing, in case you're joining in, late in the program, we're about, we're running for 4 hours, about 2.5 hours into it, 3 hours into it.
We're reaching 2 hours.
They were live monitoring a baby's breathing because in the case of SIDS, by the time the heart stops, everything else has gone wrong and there's no chance for recovery. But this is, it's funny because I think that was our 16th demo. It was one of the only 2 or 3 demos where they really had a clear, complete demonstration going on stage. And that's
they
not
did
to
a great
slag
job.
any of the other
no, not at all.
competitors.
These things are super hard to come together and find a presentation and find your elevator pitch, in 24 hours.
And actually make the thing work.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Because you could spend the whole 24 hours just on that. I loved the fact that it gave you know, she didn't really focus on it, but the fact that the tablet would have my family and my info on it. So as soon as you forget, even if you kind of see that on the table and you pick it up and you see, or a caregiver says, here, just remember this. This is my family. These are pictures and names. Love that.
Team Safe Roads coming up, people.
This is Team Safe Roads, and we're going to show an innovative solution for driving condition monitoring, reporting, aggregation, and alert. And the whole goal for this application is to make city driving safe and make the city a better place to live, right? With that said, let me start with some statistics, right? So potholes are accounted for approximately $6.4 billion in terms of vehicle damage every year within US alone. And weather-related accidents account for approximately 24% of meaning fatalities, and probably 460 fatalities within US alone. So our goal is to make sure that city is a safe place, right? This is our mission statement, right? Safe Road application was created with the goal of minimizing loss of life, financial loss, and make the city a smarter, safer, and better place to live, right? And we're achieving this goal by the use of a combination of IoT sensor technology, Intel Edison plus sensors, and cloud components like M2X, Bluemix, cloud APIs and stuff, right? Okay, so this is basically our architecture. Say that you have a car and you're driving with this IoT sensor technology in place, and say that you're encountering a pothole or a slick spot, right? And we have a couple of sensors, one of them being a gyro sensor and the other one is a vibration sensor. We sense whether it's a pothole or a slick spot, right? And this data is immediately connected to the city cloud's infrastructure, right? And another cool feature of this application is that, say that we have, say 1,000 cars or 1 million cars just go through the roads, and you get real-time feedback into the city cloud infrastructure as to that we have so much slick spots in the road, so many potholes there, right? And as a user, that you can actually connect to the stream, right? Say that you're driving along this road, and somebody has already gone through that road before, and there is a slick spot or a pothole, right? And you will immediately get a feedback saying that there is a slick spot here, just be please careful, and say that if the posted speed limit for the road is 50 miles per hour, say that we will come and recommend you saying that 50 miles an hour is not a proper speed limit. You might want to slow down the speed for this right now, right? And with that said, my colleague is going to explanation on what the backend features are.
Okay. So as we said, we have Intel Edison with gyroscopes and vibration sensors connected to it. The way it works is, when you hit a slick spot, your brake actually vibrates 10 times within a second. So the vibration sensor measures that and captures it and streams it to the AT&T M2X cloud. From there, we have a VM that is running on IBM Bluemix, which is going to process the data and store it. And there is also we have built a web view with a BI Analytics dashboard, which we gave access to the city administrators and also to the city folks. So here you can see that there's a map, and you can see all the potholes and slick spots in the city. And then once you go to the next tab, you can actually see that West Flamingo Road has 12 reports of potholes, which tells the city administrators that that's a very busy road, and they need to attack that first versus going all the way down to see, let's say, maybe West Russell Road, right? And it also gives them an analysis of, based on the city, how many potholes are there, and how many is it there. And same thing to do with slick spots as well. You get a BI dashboard of that.
All
and
right,
another
guys,
cool feature.
That is time.
I just need to show this camera.
I know. Sorry. Thank you, guys.
You know what? Ben up there on stage is doing a fantastic job. It's a hard thing to do to say, you know what, sorry, you're done.
Well, on the upside, Team Safe Roads have pretty much given all the information they needed to. And it was interesting because they're taking, one, having lived in North Jersey and Pennsylvania and the part of California where I am, where potholes are kind of like a sport and ignoring them seems to be sort of a government sport. The idea that you can actually take all of this, random information, run it through IBM's Bluemix, right? So it was going from sensors, vibration sensors in the car, detect the pothole, and if enough sensors do that thing in the same place, IBM's like Watson Bluemix type technology, their analysis will be able to tell the city, fix this pothole now. Or if everybody's slowing down at the same time or hitting a slick patch, the city will know, like, oh, it's this like smart real-time